Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be bringing you guys a video of the films I recommend to you to watch while self-isolating. I'm going to try and post 3 times per week during quarantine, so if you love movies, subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss one of these videos. I have 3 different categories. Timestamps are on screen now if you want to see a certain type of film. But with that being said, I'll be going into about 5 films per category with some detail, and the other ones will be on screen just for you to see after. Now let's hop straight into it. Now let's first get into the classics. The Godfather, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Obviously this film is one of the greatest, possibly the greatest of all time. It's just a classic, and if you haven't watched it, then shame on you. Don't ever claim to be a movie fan if you haven't seen this. Citizen Kane, directed by Orson Welles. A classic. Man, this film is so good. It was my gateway into classic cinema, and I'll always love it for that. This is a must-watch for aspiring filmmakers or just film enthusiasts in general. The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick. Another classic and all-time great film. Easily my favorite horror film of all time, and I really should stop saying I recommend these because it's a recommendation video. I'm recommending them all. However, this film is amazing, and if you love horror films, this is a must-watch for you. Pulp Fiction, directed by Quentin Tarantino. Quentin, I love this guy. In my opinion, his best film, and that's saying something because he's one of my favorite directors ever, and he has a ton of amazing films. The Shawshank Redemption, directed by Frank Darabont. I feel like although Shawshank is definitely critically acclaimed, I also feel like that from people I talk to, it doesn't get enough love. Like, not only is this a great film, but it's so entertaining and immersive, and I have a great time watching it every time. Jaws, directed by Steven Spielberg. Goodfellas, directed by Martin Scorsese. Die Hard, directed by John McTiernan. Gladiator, directed by Ridley Scott. Vertigo, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Now moving on to the newer films, we are starting with The Dark Knight, directed by Christopher Nolan. Objectively probably the greatest superhero film of all time. Everything about this film is great, and Heath Ledger is just on another level. If you haven't seen this and you like action films, go watch it right now. Get Out, directed by Jordan Peele. I truly believe that this film will go down in history. I think it'll end up being a classic of the horror genre, and besides The Shining, it's easily in my top 5 horror films ever. Whiplash, directed by Damien Chazelle. One of the most criminally underrated films to ever be made. People think it's just about drumming, and you couldn't be more wrong. Please just take a second thought at my recommendation and go watch this film. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, directed by Celine Sciamma. Moonlight, directed by Barry Jenkins. Lady Bird, directed by Greta Gerwig. Call Me By Your Name, directed by Luca Guadagnino. Mad Max Fury Road, directed by George Miller. Inception, directed by Christopher Nolan. Marriage Story, directed by Noah Baumbach. Now moving on to some of my favorites, the foreign language films. First we have Playtime, directed by Jacques Tati. Tati is one of my favorite directors of all time, and this film is probably the best shot and best looking film I've ever watched. If you do watch though, I recommend watching the 2 leading up to it, being Monsieur Hulot's Holiday and Mon Oncle to get the full storyline. Seven Samurai, directed by Akira Kurosawa. Objectively one of the greatest action movies ever, Kurosawa knows how to make an amazing, engaging film even at 3 hours and 30 minutes in length. Parasite, directed by Bong Joon-ho. I mean, you all know about Parasite. It won Best Picture, it's amazing, go check it out. Bicycle Thieves, directed by Vittorio De Sica. I watched this film about a week ago, and it quickly made my way in its top 10, and maybe even my top 5 of all time. Something about this film really drew me in and kept me engaged and on the edge of my seat. Easily a super underrated movie in my opinion. M, directed by Fritz Lang. Yi Yi, directed by Edward Yang. Spirited Away, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. 8½, directed by Federico Fellini. Stalker, directed by Andrei Tarkovsky. And lastly, for a random one, I just wanted to give a little shout out to my boy Karsten Rehnquist. He's kinda popular or whatever, but he just released a short film named Rhubarb, and it's actually really good, so you should go watch it, and it'll only take about 5 minutes. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe with notifications so you never miss one of my uploads. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.